The empire is crumbling, and honestly, it's about damn time. Fast food chains across America are watching their sales tank, their customers disappear, and their once bulletproof business model fall apart. The golden age is over. And while executives scramble to figure out what went wrong, the answer is staring them right in the face. They got greedy, lazy, and arrogant. For decades, fast food ruled American dining. These chains convinced us that speed and convenience justified eating garbage. They built empires on the backs of minimum wage workers while charging premium prices for food that barely qualifies as edible. But something shifted. Americans are waking up, and the consequences are brutal. McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Taco Bell, none of them are safe. Sales are dropping across the board. Store traffic is down, and no amount of gimmicky promotions or desperate rebranding can save them from the reckoning they've spent years earning. This isn't just a rough quarter or a temporary slump. This is the beginning. This is the end for an industry that forgot its customers are human beings, not ATM machines. The worst part? They did this to themselves. Every price hike, every quality cut, every corner they thought nobody would notice. It all added up. And now the bill is due. The price gouging finally caught up. Remember when fast food meant cheap food? When you could feed a family of four for under $20 without taking out a loan? Those days are dead. Fast food chains spent the last decade systematically jacking up prices while pretending inflation forced their hand. Spoiler alert, it didn't. A Big Mac meal that cost $5.99 in 2014 now runs you $12 to $15 depending on where you live. That's a 150% increase in 10 years. But here's the thing, ingredients didn't get 150% more expensive. Beef prices rose maybe 30% during that same period. The rest is pure profit, pure greed disguised as necessary price adjustments. Wendy's tried to implement surge pricing earlier this year. Yes, you read that right. They wanted to charge more during busy hours like they're running an Uber service, peak hour burger prices. The backlash was so instant and fierce they backpedaled within 48 hours. But the fact they even considered it shows how disconnected these executives are from reality. Taco Bell quietly removed most items from their value menu while shrinking portion sizes. That $5 box that used to actually fill you up? Now it's $7 and leaves you still hungry. Burger King's value menu has items that cost $3 to $4 each. That's not value, that's a normal price with clever marketing. The math doesn't work anymore. A family can hit the grocery store, buy actual ingredients, and make better burgers at home for half the cost of eating out. Or they can go to a sit-down restaurant, get real food with actual service for just a few dollars more than fast food. The sweet spot that made fast food dominant, cheap, quick, and convenient no longer exists. Customers started doing the calculations and realized they were getting ripped off. Social media exploded with posts comparing receipts from just a few years ago to today's prices. The evidence was undeniable. Fast food wasn't affordable anymore, and people were pissed. But here's what really sealed their fate. They raised prices while simultaneously destroying quality. If you're going to charge premium prices, at least deliver premium food. Fast food chains did the opposite. The quality nosedived into a dumpster. It's not just that fast food got expensive. It's that the food itself became inedible garbage. Anyone over 30 remembers when McDonald's fries were actually good, when Burger King's burgers tasted like beef, when Taco Bell's ingredients seemed fresh. Now everything tastes like cardboard. The meat got thinner, grayer, and less recognizable as actual animal protein. Chains switched to cheaper suppliers and added more fillers to stretch their beef further. That quarter-pound burger, there's maybe 2 ounces actual. Once you subtract the binding agents, soy protein, and mystery ingredients they pump in to bulk it up, you're left with almost nothing. McDonald's quietly reformulated basically everything on their menu over the past decade. The buns contain more preservatives than a mummy. The cheese barely qualifies as dairy. The lettuce wilts 5 minutes after it leaves the kitchen. And don't even get started on the chicken nuggets. No one wants to know what's actually in those pink slime patties. Wendy's claims they use fresh beef, but multiple former employees have gone viral, exposing how long that fresh meat sits in coolers before it hits the grill. We're talking days, sometimes over a week. Fresh is apparently flexible. Fresh means whatever they want it to mean in fast food land. Subway became a national joke after their foot-long sandwiches measured 11 inches, and their tuna was tested by labs that found zero actual tuna DNA. Zero. They're literally serving mystery fish while charging for premium seafood. The lawsuits piled up fast. Their lawyers couldn't keep up. Taco Bell's beans come from bags that get heated in boiling water. Their beef arrives pre-cooked in plastic bags that get reheated. The cheese is a sauce that comes from a gun dispenser. Nothing in a Taco Bell is actually cooked on site except maybe the tortilla, and even that's questionable. The produce became a joke too. Tomatoes that taste like water, lettuce that's brown at the edges, pickles that are more chemical than cucumber. Fast food chains source the absolute cheapest ingredients possible, regardless of quality, then act surprised when customers complain. But quality isn't just about ingredients. It's about consistency. And that completely fell apart. Order the same burger from the same location twice in the same week, and you'll get two completely different experiences. One might be halfway decent, the other looks like it got assembled by a drunk toddler during an earthquake. The drive-thru experience became a nightmare. Orders wrong more often than right. Items missing. Wrong drinks, cold food, long waits. The convenience that made fast food attractive disappeared along with the quality. Why deal with all that hassle for food that tastes terrible anyway? The health reckoning hit hard. Americans are finally connecting the dots between fast food and obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and early death. And fast food chains are losing customers faster than they can deep fry chicken. The science doesn't lie. Study after study shows that regular fast food consumption destroys your body from the inside out. The documentaries kept coming. Super Size Me, Fed Up, Food, Inc. Each one exposed more ugly truths about what fast food does to human health. People watched burgers sit under heat lamps for hours. They saw pink slime being processed. They learned about the chemical cocktails that keep the food fresh for weeks. Parents especially started paying attention. Childhood obesity rates tripled in 30 years, and fast food played a massive role. Those happy meals aren't happy, not when your kid develops type 2 diabetes at age 12. The sodium content alone in kids' meals exceeds what children should consume in an entire day. McDonald's, Burger King, and others tried adding healthy options to their menus. Salads with more calories than burgers thanks to dressing that's basically mayonnaise soup. Apple slices that do nothing to offset the 1,000 calories in the rest of the meal. Grilled chicken that still contains enough sodium to mummify a small animal. Nobody was fooled. You can't slap some lettuce on a menu and pretend you're a health food restaurant. The core business model depends on selling addictive, hyper-palatable junk that keeps customers coming back despite knowing it's killing them. And customers started choosing not to participate anymore. The ingredient list became public knowledge thanks to the internet. People discovered their burger contains 47 ingredients when beef should have one. They learned about azotocarbonamide, the same chemical used in yoga mats. Showing up in buns, they found mechanically separated chicken. And what that actually means. Younger generations especially reject this kind of eating. Gen Z and millennials grew up with information at their fingertips. They can Google what's actually in fast food within seconds. And once you know, you can't unknow. That Big Mac hits different when you understand it's engineered to be addictive through the perfect ratio of fat, salt, and sugar designed to override your satiety signals. The plant-based movement exploded, and fast food chains were caught completely off guard. Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods offered actual alternatives that didn't taste like punishment. Meanwhile, fast food chains half-heartedly added veggie burgers that nobody wanted because they were clearly afterthoughts designed to check a box, not satisfy customers. But health concerns alone didn't kill fast food. The industry had another massive problem brewing that they completely ignored until it was too late. The workers finally said enough. Fast food employees have been exploited for decades. Minimum wage, no benefits, terrible working conditions, abusive customers, and management that treats them like disposable robots. They finally fought back. And it's costing these chains dearly. The Fight for 15 movement gained serious traction. Workers organized, protested, and walked out. Multiple McDonald's locations shut down because entire staffs quit simultaneously. Burger King couldn't find anyone willing to work for poverty wages. Wendy's had to close dining rooms. They didn't have enough employees to run the restaurant. Fast food chains spent years claiming they couldn't afford to pay workers more. Then their quarterly earnings reports showed record profits and executive bonuses in the millions. Workers noticed. The hypocrisy became impossible to ignore. CEOs pulling down $10 million a year while cashiers needed food stamps to survive created a PR nightmare that no amount of spin could fix. Social media amplified worker complaints. Videos of abusive managers went viral. Stories of employees forced to work while injured or sick made national news. Pictures of deplorable kitchen conditions shared by staff members reached millions. The curtain was pulled back. What customers saw was ugly. Restaurants became understaffed nightmares. One person running drive-through, register, and food prep simultaneously. Wait times ballooned to 30 minutes for a simple burger. Orders got messed up constantly because overworked employees couldn't keep up. Quality suffered even more because stressed workers rushing through preparation cut even more corners. Customers started noticing and complaining. But instead of sympathizing with the workers, many blamed the employees rather than the corporations creating these conditions. That backfired spectacularly when workers started posting their perspectives online, explaining exactly why service sucked, and it wasn't their fault. The Great Resignation hit hard. Workers discovered they could make the same or better money elsewhere with better conditions. Warehouse jobs, retail positions, gig economy work, all of it suddenly looked more appealing than dealing with hot grease, angry customers, and disrespectful management for minimum wage. Fast food chains tried solving the problem with technology. Self-order kiosks that glitch constantly, mobile apps that crash during busy periods, automated systems that somehow make ordering more confusing, not less. They invested millions trying to replace human workers instead of just paying the humans better. Customers hated it. The irony is thick. These chains built empires on cheap labor, then acted shocked when that labor disappeared. They could have avoided this entire crisis by treating employees like human beings and paying livable wages years ago. Instead, they squeezed until there was nothing left to squeeze. The competition crushed them. Fast food isn't competing with other fast food anymore. They're losing to everyone. Chipotle offers better quality for similar prices. Local restaurants provide superior food for just a few dollars more. Grocery stores sell ready-made meals that taste better and cost less. Even gas stations stepped up their food game. Wawa and Sheetz started serving made-to-order food that puts McDonald's to shame. You can get a hot sandwich, real ingredients, customized exactly how you want it, for less money than a Big Mac meal. And it actually tastes good. Fast food can't compete. The value proposition is broken. Panera positioned itself as fast casual and dominated the space where fast food used to reign. Better ingredients, comfortable dining rooms, food that doesn't make you hate yourself afterward. They charged slightly more but delivered exponentially better experiences. Customers made the rational choice to spend an extra $2 for food worth eating. Food delivery apps changed everything. Suddenly, every local restaurant became as convenient as fast food. That Thai place across town? 20 minutes away through DoorDash. The family-owned burger joint with actual flavor delivered to your door. Fast food's advantage disappeared. Convenience meant nothing anymore. Meal kit services exploded in popularity. HelloFresh, Blue Apron, and others made cooking at home nearly as easy as ordering out. For roughly the same cost as feeding a family at McDonald's, people got fresh ingredients and learned basic cooking skills. Many discovered they actually enjoyed cooking once they got past the initial learning curve. Grocery stores became legitimate competitors too. Whole Foods hot bars offer better food than any fast food chain. Trader Joe's frozen meals taste restaurant quality. Even Walmart's deli section started putting out products that make fast food look pathetic. And all of it costs less than a combo meal at Burger King. The pandemic accelerated this trend massively. People stuck at home learned to cook. They discovered grocery shopping was cheaper than they thought. They realized fast food wasn't actually convenient when you factor in driving, waiting, and dealing with wrong orders. Habits broke in months. Decades of conditioning vanished. Fast food chains responded by trying to compete on price, but they'd already trained customers to expect premium quality at premium prices. The $5 meal deals felt like admissions of guilt rather than genuine value. People saw through the desperation. If you can afford to sell a meal for $5 now, Why were you charging $12 last year? The damage was permanent. Once customers found better alternatives, they didn't come back. Brand loyalty evaporated. The McDonald's regulars who used to visit 3 times a week now stop by once a month, maybe. The lunch crowds that kept Taco Bell alive found better options. The families that made Burger King part of their weekly routine discovered cooking together was cheaper and more fun. The reckoning is just beginning. Fast food chains are in full panic mode. They're slashing prices, launching desperate promotions, and begging customers to come back. It's not working. The foundation of trust they built over decades crumbled, and no amount of marketing can rebuild it quickly. McDonald's announced they're closing hundreds of locations. Burger King's parent company reported massive losses. Wendy's is struggling to maintain profitability. Subway has shuttered thousands of stores. The empire is contracting. Every quarterly earnings call brings worse news. Executives keep making the same mistakes, doubling down on failed strategies. They think more automation will fix the problem. They believe flashy menu items will bring customers back. They're convinced the next viral promotion will turn things around. They're wrong about all of it. The real issue runs deeper than any promotion can fix. Fast food chains lost sight of what made them successful in the first place: delivering value. Not just cheap prices, but genuine value. Good food, quickly made, at reasonable prices. They abandoned that formula for short-term profits, and now they are paying the long-term price. Younger generations aren't coming back either. Gen Z has no nostalgia for Happy Meals. They grew up knowing fast food causes obesity and diabetes. They watch documentaries about factory farming and worker exploitation. They have zero emotional connection, and plenty of reasons to avoid these brands. The cultural shift is undeniable. Fast food used to represent American innovation and convenience. Now it symbolizes corporate greed and health destruction. The golden arches went from aspirational to embarrassing. Nobody brags about eating fast food anymore. If anything, it's something people do shamefully and privately. Social media turned against them too. Every bad experience gets posted, shared, and amplified. Viral videos of disgusting kitchens, rude employees, and terrible food rack up millions of views. Meanwhile, local restaurants and home cooks showcase beautiful meals that make fast food look like prison rations. The comparison isn't flattering. Climate activists target fast food chains for their environmental impact. Animal rights groups protest their treatment of livestock. Labor organizers rally against their employment practices. Public health advocates blame them for disease epidemics. Fast food became the villain in nearly every progressive conversation about American society. The final verdict: fast food chains are finally getting what they deserve: irrelevance, declining sales, and a future that looks increasingly bleak. They had every opportunity to adapt, evolve, and improve. Instead, they chose greed over customers, profit over quality, and short-term gains over long-term sustainability. The empire built on exploitation is collapsing. And honestly, good riddance. These chains spent decades contributing to obesity epidemics, paying starvation wages and serving garbage while pretending it was food. The reckoning feels deserved, even cathartic. Will fast food disappear entirely? Probably not. There will always be some market for quick, cheap meals. But the dominance these chains enjoyed for 50 years, that's over. The cultural moment has passed. The business model is broken, and the customers they took for granted have moved on. The best part? Better options are thriving. Local restaurants are busier than ever. Grocery stores are expanding prepared food sections. People are cooking at home more. The decline created space for healthier, more sustainable alternatives to flourish. Maybe this is exactly what America needed: a hard reset on how we think about food, convenience, and value. Fast food chains taught us that speed and price matter more than quality or health. Now we're unlearning those lessons and building better habits. The executives crying about declining sales can save their tears. They made billions exploiting workers and customers. They got rich while Americans got sick. The fact that it's catching up isn't a tragedy, it's justice. If you made it this far, you already know the truth. Fast food chains aren't victims of changing markets or bad luck. They're suffering the natural consequences of decades of terrible decisions. And watching it happen feels pretty damn satisfying. Smash that like button if you're here for the fall of fast food empires. Subscribe to The Hidden Menu for more brutal truths about the food industry. And tell us in the comments, what was your last straw with fast food? When did you finally decide enough was enough? At the Hidden Menu, we believe in eating smart, supporting local, and demanding better. Fast food had its chance. Now it's time for something better to take its place.
And remember, the truth is not always on the menu.